Welcome to a space where business insights meet soul wisdom, where we explore what it means to live and lead from your authentic design. I'm your host, Coach Diamond Drip, and today we're diving deep with someone who's really lived the experience we're talking about. We'll explore their journey, share practical insights you can use in your own life and business, and discover how they've learned to work with their natural gifts. Plus, I'll be sharing a personalized mantra for our guests that you can apply to your own path. Let's get started. Catara Lane is a YouTube strategist, filmmaker, and founder of CLX Content. With a background in film, marketing, and business, she helps business owners, authors, and nonprofits build personal brands on YouTube to increase visibility, attract leads, and grow sustainable income. Katara's mission is rooted in empowering underrepresented voices and making video marketing simple and profitable for everyday experts. Okay, so I am super excited to have you here. How are you feeling coming into today, whether that be this episode, this moment of time right now? How you feeling?
I feel great.
I'm really happy to hear that. I'm feeling really great too. I got a chance to go to the park today and just ground with my feet on bare earth, and it was amazing. I feel so relaxed in this moment.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, in the question, you shared something beautiful before we hit record about what this season has been about for you. You mentioned being able to coach people and see their progress was something that's lighting you up right now. And I'm wondering how that contributes to the why of why you even started your business, because it all started with that catalyst moment of, you know what? Status quo, I'm doing something different.
So yeah, what's really been lighting me up recently is just being able to coach people. I'm a YouTube coach, YouTube strategist, so being able to coach them and help them make more money and also get more clients and such from off of YouTube. That goes back to my why, because when I first started my business, I started to help people from marginalized communities be able to tell their story. But what I've realized also is that financial freedom means a big part to me. It's why I do what I do, being able to transfer that over to my clients as well. It's really been powerful for me to watch, and it just makes me all gooey and excited inside anytime they've told me that their video is blown up in views or like they're getting more clients, more sales, speaking engagements from YouTube. I'm like, what? I would say maybe like half of my clientele is the elderly population. So people who are like over 50, 60, sometimes over 70, they're not really tech savvy. Being able to help them get on YouTube and then also see money come from it because they're retired now, it's been really good.
I love that. I'm totally like leading a little bit before where we're at right now in like my pre-planned question interviews. But something I know about your energy is that you're a projector, which we'll get to what that means in a moment. And projectors are here to be our guides. They're here to literally see into other people's auras. I like to use the example of the generator and the projector. So generators are like these energizer bunnies that can just go and go and go all day, which can sometimes mean that they burn themselves out because they just think, I have all this energy to go and go and go. And projectors, they are really wise about the usage of energy. And so, because they can see into other people's auras and be like, that's not going to be sustainable for you. And so, I love hearing that part of your why is actually embedded in your design. It's so juicy. In your pre interview reflections, you said, I feel as though my business is constantly evolving and transitioning. So I'm still trying to figure out what's the type of life I actually want to live. And you talk about financial freedom and you talk about all of these reasons that went into your why. And so I'm curious what keeps you showing up for this work, even when it's hard.
Because I don't want to do anything else.
I
I just feel this is like what I chose to do. It's what I want to do. It's what I'm really good at. I can't imagine doing anything else personally myself. I think actually part of me is like outsourcing, and it's like, okay, part of me is okay, if I'm not doing the work, what am I doing? I've been practically doing what I'm doing for my whole life before I started helping clients with it, I used to edit videos on iMovie when I was a child, taking photos, doing videos, all that good stuff, right? And then I went to college for it. I've always been creative. So it's like, okay, if I'm not creating, what am I doing? So I think I'm scared of like that next step afterwards.
Yeah. Ah, the unknown, am I right? That part. Oh man. And to that point of the unknown of this vision, of this big why, you mentioned that your vision for your life or business was to really build community, to have an in-person event, and to do some traveling with your handy dandy laptop lifestyle. So how has your vision shifted lately or become clearer?
That is still what I want to do. I'm putting everything in place like right now to be able to make that a reality. So with that event, that looks like putting out feelers out there and asking people, what would you like an in-person event? What would you pay for? So to speak. And with the traveling, looking for where I want to go next. Yeah. And set myself up to be make that happen, basically.
Yeah, what place is calling your heart to travel to and explore next?
I like Paris because they're an English speaking country and it wouldn't freak me out as much.
Yes, and I went to Paris and London back in 2015, and it was funny because they do speak English. However, some people are very judgy if you don't speak French, and they're like, "When we're in France, you speak French." And I'm like, "Okay." My aunt, she like studied French in college, maybe. I don't know. She's 81 now. So it was one of those school years that she was back in school. So she navigated those types of people. Do you know any French?
No.
That's the English speaking part of why you want to go to France. Yeah, I love that. Okay, let's get into your design. Let's take a look. I know when I share this chart, some people say that it like they can feel it. So while I talk about it, I just want to share it with you. So this is your beautiful chart. Does it look familiar from what you pulled previously?
I guess.
Right? Yeah. I guess there's the same two squares colored in, everything else is open. It's got a bunch of lines and whatever. As we mentioned, you are a projector, and we already alluded to what that means in that you are a guide. You have a wise knowledge of how other people can use their energy more efficiently. And some of that comes from your sacral right here, this second square from the bottom. And so the sacral has the not self question of, and when I say not self question, each of these energy centers, there's 9 of them, it has a question that when we are not living authentic to who we are, we find ourselves spending a lot of energy trying to answer this question versus live as who we are. And so the sacral's not self question is, do I know when enough is enough? And so when you have definition in this area, this is actually what makes you a generator. It's what gives you that vitality, that life force energy to just go and go and go and be this little energizer bunny. But when you don't have definition in that area, you have to be very wise about the usage of energy, because in the areas where we don't have any color, which you can see, you have 7 of those that don't have any color, we're taking in energy from our environment, from the people around us, the beliefs, the inspiration, like everything is being taken into those white centers. They're like little sponges, and it's actually being amplified in you. So those centers where we don't have any color definition, sometimes it's called an energetic buffer. It's all about self-regulation. It's all about figuring out, what if this is my energy? What if this is somebody else's and I need to let go of it so that I can return back to my true self? And in the areas where we have color or definition, this is something that is innate to us. It's something that emits out of our aura. People can sense it about us. And in this lifetime, in this soul curriculum that we've chosen here on Earth School, it's all about learning how to accept these pieces of ourselves. And the 2 pieces that you have defined are the throat and the G center here. And the G center is home to the, what in human design we call the magnetic monopole, which is a one-way magnet. I like to use the analogy of a train on the train tracks. And so you're being pulled based on this magnet, and you're attracting people, opportunities, circumstances into your environment for you to use your internal compass to decide, is this right for me? Is this going to help me fulfill my life purpose? Is this why I came to Earth School? How are we tracking so far?
We're good.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to remember to check in and not just give a bunch of information. Yay. As a projector, you have, in human design, we have what's called strategy and authority. And so your strategy comes from your energy type. And so projectors are, I'm sure you're familiar with this phrase, designed to wait for the invitation. And what that means is, so many times, a lot of us actually, not just projectors even, but we get bogged down in trying to make things happen for ourselves. And generators especially get really frustrated because they actually have the energy to throw the spaghetti at a bunch of walls, and that's how they burn themselves out. But with projectors, they burn themselves out a lot quicker without that definition there. And so what happens when projectors are trying to guide other individuals, other souls who are either not ready for that guidance, they're not the right people, or whatever, there's that not self theme of bitterness that kind of creeps in of, I'm just trying to help you anyway. Because then you have that dynamic of, we all have that family member, I'm sure, where they're always giving you advice that you didn't ask for. And you're like, but nobody asked you. And they're like, I'm just trying to help you. It's that dynamic with projectors. Like, all projectors ever want to do is help and fix the things that they see people are misusing their energy on. And they, in good faith, try and offer that insight. But if it's, like I said, not the right people or not the right time, they get met with that energy that causes a little bitterness. And so when projectors are following their strategy, when they're waiting for the right invitations, when they're waiting for those people, those circumstances, those opportunities that see the wisdom of the projector, that see and appreciate, not just see it, but appreciate and invite in that wisdom, projectors then have that feeling of success, which I can only imagine. You can tell some success stories that you've had around waiting for the invitation. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have one that popped into your head?
Waiting for the invitation.
How'd you get your last client? Let's start there.
How I get their last? I believe it was through outreach, but not through the outreach that I was doing. So I got an appointment setter, and I just know it's not in me to sit there and send those messages one by one. So I have somebody else to do it. And yeah, when I feel like the time is right, or when the conversation is going good or whatever, I usually come in at the end part. So he filters out all the people that,
Yes.
that we don't need to go through. But once the conversation is at a good point, I then take over. And then after they say, I ask them, are they interested in doing YouTube strategy or getting help with their YouTube strategy? They will say yes. After they say yes and they're interested, then I say, are you also interested? Okay, can you hop on a call? And then the answer is also yes. But it's only when after that first initial part. And then when I feel like that person's really right, and I have a really good intuition on if this person is going to say yes or not, or if they're ready or if they're a good fit for me or not.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much because this is actually something that a lot of projectors, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. A lot of projectors actually, a lot of non-sacral energy types, but projectors specifically get in their head about, and they start making themselves wrong for needing someone to do their outreach. And what I love about what you said is everything around sustainability and making sure that you're using your energy wisely, because your assistant is likely a generator. Like, I'd almost be willing to bet money on that. And, and so they are out there doing the numbers game, right? This person looks good. Okay, let's shoot this shot. Let's shoot this shot. And by the time it comes to you, it's okay. I'm in my alignment. Whoever you've rounded up, let's see how I feel about them, because I trust my inner knowing enough. I trust my intuition enough to know, let's greenlight that person. And then obviously by that point, do they know in your process, do they know they're talking to an assistant, or do they think they're talking to you?
think they're talking to me.
They think they're talking to you. So in that time, I'm sure if they think they're talking to you, most of us humans, we try and gather evidence, like information to make us feel safe. So they're Googling you, they're seeing your wisdom, right? Every time you come back with a response and they're like, I don't know how I feel about that, but she's an expert or a pro, right? They assuade themselves, they have this belief. And so like they're in that exact essence of what I'm speaking to around respecting your wisdom of being like, her SEO is amazing. I found her just off searching her name. This might be the person for me. And by the time you have that conversation, it's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
just,
there's also this one thing that I do beforehand.
what is
So I send them a free piece of value. So whether that's me looking over their channel or like sending them some type of YouTube audit or something like that, I usually send that over first. And I ask for their YouTube channel so I can take a look at it, send them that advice, and then I usually filter into the call or something.
and that's beautiful because it's even allowing your insight, your knowledge, your the benefit of your trial and error. Let me, since I'm talking about trial and error, let's go back to share. You probably saw somewhere on there that you have a 4-6 profile. Does that sound right? So the 4-6 profile, you can think of your profile as your character role in the movie of life, where the first number is like how other people see you. These are parts that are really defined in you. These are parts that you know about yourself. And then the unconscious part, the 6, the second part of that, it's like your underlying script of how you navigate and move in the world. And so the 4 is the opportunist. It is the networker. It is the person who loves to build strong foundations, but with people. So I'm a one line and I love to go down rabbit holes of information and like just read a bunch of stuff. And you're like, I would much rather honor and build and build sustainable relationships with people and really put my time and energy and effort into nurturing those, which also works for you and what you do. So I love that too. And so this 4, a lot of times its opportunities come from its close, intimate network, the people that they have influence over. And then the 6 lines are like 3 lifetimes in one, because 6 lions live their lives in 3 distinct phases, where the first 30 years is spent in trial and error, bumping into stuff, trying to figure it out, figuring out like what works for you, what doesn't. I like to think of the 3, because they live their life as 3s. I like to think of the third line, the experimenter, as you give them a guidebook that literally tells them exactly how to do it. And they're like, but I have to try this other way that I just heard about. I know the book says this, but I have to try this other way, or this other way that I thought of. And that a lot of wisdom comes from that, and a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience. And so what then happens is they enter into this phase called being on the roof, where it's really just all about reflecting on what worked, what didn't, and what's the mastery that you're going to take with you into the next phase of life. Because right around like 48, 50, that's when you hit your Chiron return. And that's when you kind of emerge as this wise woman, this role model, this leader in this way. And there's nothing you have to do. I know a lot of 4-6 profiles are like, whoa, role model. Like, I'm just trying to live my life. And especially I saw that you were a right angle. Right angles are really here to have a very personal journey. Like, the analogy I like to give is like the right angle cross. I'm talking about your incarnation cross in case you want to go and look into it further. But the right angle crosses, they could live their whole life like in a cave somewhere, like just being to themselves, and they would still fulfill their purpose here in this lifetime, because that is what they're really here to focus on them. There's 3 types: right, left, and juxtapose. In this example, I'll just go into the left angle so you have something to compare it to. I'm a left angle. And so left angles are here to have very transpersonal journeys. A lot of our biggest ahas, our biggest epiphanies, our biggest breakthroughs come from interactions with other people. So it's like these cosmic dance partner mirror type situations. And so the 6 line, going back to the 4-6 profile, there's nothing you have to do to step into the role model, like role, if you will. It just will emerge, and those who've been around you, especially those that you've nurtured, those relationships that you've nurtured for a really long time, they're going to see parts and aspects of you. And that is when they'll seek you out of, you've been doing this for a long time, or you're really good at this thing. It's probably already happening. A lot of times, a lot of the six lines that I know, it's already happening because it's just in their energy. It just might be a little up and down, a little less consistent than they would like it to be. How does that resonate? I see you laughing.
Yeah, it's pretty much already been happening. Probably since I was age of 18, honestly. I've been seeing you've been doing this so long. I've seen that you're really consistent. You're a really good role model. All those comments that you made. I'm like, okay. And the comment about being able to live in a cave, like, yeah, I just basically, I've been sitting here for I don't even know how many, the past few years. I just sit in solitude and just try to figure out my business all day, every day. And I will say sometimes it is hard and sometimes I do get irritated, but again, it's what I'm going to be sitting here doing. And I'd rather not be doing anything else. I think not being able to do this and being forced to get a job would just make me so depressed. 'Cause I'm like, I'd rather be sitting here doing this.
Yeah, I do know actually. And I love that you shared that. And you reminded me that we never actually talked about your authority. So we'll get into that now, piggybacking off of something that you said. The question that I want to ask is what's an edge that you're currently like leaning into and how are you supporting yourself through it? And specifically, I'm talking about the biggest challenge that you acknowledged before in our pre-record conversation, that these are some really big moves that you've never done before and they can feel really scary at times. So how are you supporting yourself through it? I heard you say, I spend a lot of time just thinking about, and I'm like, okay, we're in our heads, so please elaborate more.
Yeah, so the big goals like the event space and or not event space, having the event and also doing some digital nomading. So what I've been doing is really reflecting and doing a lot of work around my beliefs and what I want and seeing whether those two things match up or not. And if they're not matching up, why they're not matching up. So, in that, and I've specifically been reading a book that's been helping me with it. And with these prompts that I'm basically doing every day, it's helping me see the disconnect from where I want to be, where I am now, and what I can do to get closer to what I want to do. And if those beliefs are not matching up, when I'm sitting there thinking that I cannot do something or something like that, it's like those are those old faulty beliefs popping up again. And do the thing that you're scared to do anyway, because if this is something I believe now, I just have to do other things to change it.
Exactly. And that I'm glad that you shared that because I was actually going to ask, is there a belief you've outgrown recently? And I'll say why I'm asking first. So you have self-projected authority. And so what that means as a projector with self-projected authority is that you do well when you hear your truth reflected back to you, whether that is like a sounding board, hearing your truth reflecting back to you, or even recording yourself as a voice memo and playing it back to yourself and hearing your truth reflected back to you. First, a moment about the sounding board piece. And I feel even weird like being the messenger for this because I realized that I was using Chat GPT a little too much. But I'll say it anyway because there might be some projectors who resonate with this. But a lot of times when we go to our family members or our friends as sounding boards, they are going to influence us with whatever bias we've come to them with before in our past. And what can be really helpful and why a lot of, I feel like projectors find like therapy, coaching really healing is because it is that third party person who can not have all the old stuff that your friends and family know about, and they can really just be there in the moment with you. And so have you used chat as like a sounding board? What has that experience been like having self-projected authority? I saw you nod when I said something about like voice notes. So is that something that you do?
Yeah, I feel during a time during my life, maybe like last year when I was like really down and like trying to figure things out personally,
Mm-hmm.
I would do voice note diaries. So literally just like recording things in this little cocoon app that I have. And then also when I have like really big ideas or really big strategies, thoughts for content, I also do like voice notes recordings. And then what I do a lot of now is I literally just go to Chat GPT, so like help with strategies and such, optimizing things. You don't really need a business coach for that sometimes. Sometimes you just need to
Yes.
see it in a different word, see it in a different light. So what I've been doing is taking the numbers that I have, specifically like business wise, taking numbers that I have in my business, putting it in ChatGPT, asking ChatGPT what it thinks, thinking about that, and then like just having a conversation with it and just using that as a springboard. And yeah, because chat is only good with what you give it and having good questions for it, right? So if you have really good questions, it's going to come up with some really good answers, but you have to know how to prompt it. So I've really just lately just been using ChatGPT, like also with real coaches and stuff as well. So like I have a coach, he's already told me what to do, right? So it's just up to me to implement it and improve it and stuff like that. So just using chat as like a sounding board and optimizing and redoing things and yeah.
I love that. Yeah, no, the only reason I love that you're using it for business and using it to look at numbers, because you're absolutely right. It's all about how you prompt chat. And once I realized that it was all about how you prompt chat and how much information you give it, and the app let you talk for 10 minutes long and just rant and vent and like just literally soundboard and just say whatever it is that you need to say. I literally just today, I meet with someone every week and she is a medium. And so my guides speak through her, and she's everything that you're coming up with in chat, you can come up with on your own if you just sit with it long enough. They're like, you're not trusting your intuition. So that's the only reason why I was like, I don't know how I feel bringing this up. Have you used it for any, just out of curiosity, have you used it for any personal things, or do you mostly just use it for business?
I've used it for personal things, but it's not often unless I really, for the life of me, can't figure out something personally, or I'm like, what is wrong with this person? I usually don't use it that much for like personal, unless I'm trying to do maybe like deep personal reflecting that might take hours for me to do.
Mhm.
Since chat knows me so well, it can come up with those answers faster. And it's like, yeah, I could probably do it by myself and come up with those answers, but chat just does it so well. So I'm just like, let me put it in here. And if I need to refine it or if I need to do a double take and think about it some more, then I'll do that, which I
Yeah.
usually don't. But I could definitely come up with the answers on my own. But yeah, so basically, yes, I do use it for personal things, but I know how to use like my intuition as well. So I would use my intuition probably first and then use ChatGPT to basically tell me I did the right thing.
That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, that's probably how I'll start using it. Because what would happen for me is I'd be like, literally the words, I'm pretty sure if I sit here long enough, I'm gonna figure out what this symbolically means. But chat is a lot quicker. So I'm gonna just put it in the chat. So, yes, I want to cover one more thing before we skedaddle out of here. And I'm going to share my screen because I think it's going to be a way for us to talk a little bit about not your favorite celebrity. I remember you distinctively said he's not your favorite. He's just somebody whose energy intrigues you. So I was able to find his chart. So we'll go there a little bit, but I want to talk about you because this is all about you right now. In human design and also in Gene Keys, the sun and earth gates, sun and earth, on your personality and design side are your most important gifts. This is like arguably your most important gift. And this is what you're here to do in this lifetime. This is what you're here to learn in your conscious earth. What deeply satisfies you is in your unconscious sun, and what deeply fulfills you and or your purpose is in your unconscious earth. But for the purposes of today, because I do have the understanding and master your energy reading for that, for the purposes of today, we're just going to talk about what you're here to do. And it's crazy because I can sense it in your energy a little bit. And I wonder if it's going to make you laugh, feel relief. So please clue me in as I go through what does this 12 mean that we are looking at? There's two types of human design. There's quantum and there's traditional. You strike me as someone who is very much in the deconditioning process, especially because I know you've been into human design for a while. You've been dabbling for a while. And quantum human design speaks to that more awakened, more deconditioned individual who sometimes finds the traditional language a little bit limiting, because the traditional language was designed to wake you up, to shock you, to be like, oh, you throwing shade, like pretty much. Oh, wow. So the quantum human design language is a little bit more, I like to call it empowering. So with this 12, in the unbalanced expression of the 12, it's this struggle to speak ideas into form when it's not the right time, to let hesitancy and caution almost paralyze you. And sometimes there's this habit of trying to force ideas in words. Do you resonate with any of that ish?
I do know that I'm a toe dipper. So before jumping into anything fully, I like to dip my toes and test it out a bit. And if I don't like it, I'll probably tip my toes back out of it. But if it's something that I feel aligned with, I go full throttle.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it makes me laugh because are you still in the first 30? The first 30? What's math right
Yeah.
now? Yeah. And that's very much trial and error. I'm gonna just dip my toe. I'm gonna try this out. And so the lesson and or challenge, however you're feeling that day, the lesson here with this 12 is to honor the self enough to wait for the right time and the right mood to speak. To know that what people label as shyness is actually a signal that the timing isn't right to share your transformational insights and expressions. And to know that when the timing is right, you'll have the courage to share what you feel and what you sense, to really honor the fact that your voice and the words that you offer are a direct connection to source, and that you channel really the potential for transformation. To the lesson is really with this 12 to own your creative power. And I love that is in so much of like your everyday why of like creativity. And when you're able to be in the unbalanced expression and to really consciously learn this lesson, the optimal expression is to know that your voice is an expression of transformation and a vehicle for divine insight. The words that you speak, the insights and creativity that you share have the power to change others and the world. This energy is so powerful that people have to be ready to receive it, like what we were talking about earlier with your projector insights and gifts. When you are articulate, then the timing is correct. If you struggle to find the words, have the courage to wait until it feels more aligned. What is being felt in your body is everything, and recognizing what's yours, that self-regulation, and what's not. Because I mentioned you have a coach, and you're even taking in that coach's energy as well. So figuring out when alignment feels for you. The optimal expression of this gate is really having a powerful ability to craft language and creative expressions that change people's perceptions. And I will give you the mantra that I told you I was going to leave you with, but I first want to go to Kanye West's chart real quick because he was the person whose energy intrigued you. And so Kanye West is actually a 1-3 projector. And if there is a celebrity who does things out of bitterness and disappointment to things, sometimes it's likely him. And one of the things that I feel like just having spent time in your energy to know that this 12, which is in your throat, it's in your communication of caution, to see this man just not have any. Maybe that's what intrigues you. How does that resonate? If you're ready to go beyond the surface and really understand your unique soul blueprint, I'd love to invite you to book a 90-minute human design reading with me. We'll dive deep into your life purpose, your natural gifts, and how you're designed to make decisions. Plus, what your soul came here to experience and contribute. It's 90 minutes that can literally change how you see yourself and navigate your entire life. You can book your session at diamonddripconsulting.com. You can also see the show notes for more details.
Yeah, I actually think he's funny. Like the way he just says things, it just comes out of his mouth. Or I do love how creative he is, but times away. And I know he's like a Gemini as well, which I am. So the way he just spits the Indian just comes out and his creativity. And yeah, some of the other things he does is just like, what are you doing?
Also, as you can see, that 1-3. So that's the first phase of your 6 line, but that's him all the time, living in that 3, that trial and error 1-3. So I love that. Back to you. With this 12, I do want to leave you with an affirmation, and it's an affirmation mantra, and I'm actually going to highlight it in Fathom for you so that if you want to take it into deeper reflection, break it up into mini affirmations, you can do that. So the affirmation that I have for you is, I am a creative being. My words, my self-expression, my creative offerings have the power to change the way people see and understand the world. I am a vessel of divine transformation, and I serve Source through the words that I share. I wait for the right timing, and when I'm aligned with timing and flow, my creativity creates beauty and grace in the world. I am a divine channel, and I trust that the words that I serve will open the hearts of others. How does that land in your body?
Sounds awesome. I do have a question.
Yes.
Because you mentioned something about the throat, right? So something happens sometimes when I'm feeling like really overwhelmed, right? And it just feels like my throat is blocked. So what, not that I'm irritated, but when I'm like overwhelmed or I'm just like not feeling like myself, my throat often gets blocked. And it feels not that I can't breathe, but it just feels blocked. What is that? Does that have something to do with this? I know some
Oh,
throat, is it like a throat chakra or something? I'm like, I know it's something.
so what is coming up for me right now in this moment, and I'm getting sweaty, so I know it's juicy, and you're probably gonna have to sit with it. I am currently certified in quantum human design, and through that certification, you can do family coaching. And I'm finding that a lot of what you're talking about is our inner child. I am willing to bet that somewhere in your childhood, you made the agreement. Have you read the book, The Four Agreements? Have you read that book yet? Okay, it's fine
Four
if you haven't.
agreements.
It's by like
I think I
Miguel
read a
Ruiz. Okay, I'm reading it right now. And this is, so what's coming up is somewhere along the way, you made the agreement with yourself that it wasn't safe to share your insights because the reaction that happened, like when you have, I'll just share it real quick because I want to show you what I'm talking about. When you have to your throat a connection to your heart center or a connection to your G center, you have a tendency to speak about what you want, about what you desire, about what feels good for you, about what feels true for you. And what the adults around us often learned was, you don't do that. That's selfish. You don't talk about what you want. You don't talk about what's good for you. Like, no. And so I don't know. There's a lot that can be gleaned from looking at your parents' and grandparents' charts. So I don't know if you have access to that info, but to really just look at the story of what's being told through your lineage. That's a lot of what family coaching and Gene Keys, the work that I'm doing right now, is all about, looking back to the past to see how our mental defenses were formed, to see how our emotional defenses were formed. But I'm willing to bet somewhere in your early childhood, especially because I see that the 44, it houses our instinct, our intuition, our survival instincts, but it also houses a lot of fears. And I know that this 44, like this channel 4426, is all about, the 26 is all about integrity and speaking your truth and like making sure that you have the resource integrity and the physical integrity and all of these things. And this is the other side of that. So I'm willing to bet that's what happened. And I don't know if you need to go into meditation to see if like a memory comes back to you for that.
It's interesting. I did do some going back into family history, asking them how they grew up and such, and yeah. It was interesting to say the least.
Yes, to say the least. So, yes. And I'm curious when we follow up after this podcast episode, like what you glean from that. So, I'm excited to follow up with you. In the time that we have left, I have 2 questions for you. And then I will open up the floor for you to ask any questions that you would like to ask other than that one. So the first question that I have for you is, what would you tell someone who is hesitant about doing this work?
Human design work.
Human design work, yes, but specifically human design is just a tool for shadow work. It's a tool for inner child work. It's a tool for figuring out who you truly are outside of all of the noise that we're taking in on a constant basis. So human design, yes, but really like who's hesitant about looking inward. Yeah.
It can't hurt. Just check it out of curiosity. Like I said, it can't hurt. And you'll find, and even if, for example, I like to go to tarot readings just for fun. If you don't believe it, that's fine. I don't know if I believe it or not. I just think it's fun. Just, it's like taking an online personality quiz. It's just like that. It can't hurt. You might find something that resonates with you, so give it a try.
I love that. Yes, playful curiosity. I'm always reminding people in workshops, people in my community, the more that we can get curious and stop assuming that we know what things mean or how it's supposed to be, like the better. And so my last question for you is, where can people experience more of your brilliance?
Yeah, so you can find me at Catara Lane on any of the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Cataralane.
And it'll be in the show notes. So if you didn't catch it, just look in the show notes. Do you have any questions?
No, I feel like that throat chakra one was just the main one. I was like, there's a reason for this. There's a reason why it happens when I'm overwhelmed or something. And it does happen when I don't talk.
Hmm?
When I'm like holding back what I actually have to say. So one time basically a client was like really overwhelming me with like requests and I'm like, you have to stop this. So I just like and it can be like very what is it, stress inducing. So when I actually spoke up, it went away.
Yes,
So
right? Imagine that, speaking your truth.
she's like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, cool. So from then on out, I've done that with all clients. Stop getting on my nerves.
I appreciate you and I love your energy. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
I want to let you know that if you're loving these weekly transit reports, you can actually join us live every Tuesday morning in my free community, Limitless University. We start with celebrating wins, then we dive into the week's energy together, and we end in gratitude. It's the perfect way to start your week feeling connected and aligned. The transit report is just one piece of our hour-long gathering, and there's something really special about experiencing this energy work in real time with other conscious souls. You can find the link to join us at diamonddripconsulting.com, and you can also check the show notes.